All right, so I spoke about this a little bit at the beginning of services, but let's review for those who weren't listening the first time or just arrived. So what are we doing here today? This is a siyum. Okay, this is the fast of the firstborn. So in recognition of the rescue of Israelite firstborn males from the 10th plague, while Egyptian firstborn males died, a firstborn male of a mother or father, or a mother and a father, or a firstborn not born via C-section, or a firstborn male only, depending on your interpretation, observes the fast of the firstborn, which most years is on the eve of Pesach. But this year, the eve of Pesach is Shabbat, so the fast moves 2 days earlier to Thursday, because we don't fast on Shabbat unless it's Yom Kippur on Shabbat, nor do we create an intrusion into the beginning of Shabbat by moving the fast to Friday. I was talking a little bit earlier about how some communities do have the siyum on Friday, but that's a whole other, we can, if you want to review that later, we already said that. Okay. All right, so we exempt people from the fast. Actually, let me review that because it's relevant. So some communities in our neighborhood even are holding the siyum not today but tomorrow, kind of acknowledging differently from the Luach says, this reality that if you have a siyum, if you complete the study of a tractate of rabbinic literature and you are there for that happening, you are exempt from the obligation to fast. So why not do that Friday? Because it's close to Erev Pesach. I don't know. I don't quite know how that makes sense. I'm just following the instructions because usually when there's something involving fasting close to Shabbat, we move it to Thursday. That's what we do. Okay. So there are probably people here who are not firstborns by any definition. Maybe you're here just to daven, or maybe you're here because you want the lovely food that is served that is chametz because you're busy removing all the chametz from your house. I'm not sure how many bagels we have this morning. I know we do have at least cookies and refreshments because sometimes details get, okay. But anyways, what's a siyum? Okay, we talked about that, completion of a study of a tractate of rabbinic literature. Well, that's a little bit more complicated than meets the eye. As I learned from my Rabbi David Golinkin, who is the Rabbi Elliot Dorff of Israel, the best way to explain it, he's the authority for the Masorti Jewish community in Israel, and of course has teaching that he does worldwide. And so you traditionally, we make a siyum on a tractate of Talmud, and actually in the Daf Yomi, Masechet Sanhedrin was just finished yesterday, but we are not going to make a siyum on a tractate of Talmud today. We're going to make a siyum on a tractate of Mishnah, and according to Rabbi David Golinkin, you can also make a siyum on different sorts of, you don't even have to have it be a tractate of Mishnah. It can be just something you're completing a learning on. I'm sure that there is lots of detail in that I didn't investigate for this particular session. So what we are going to do today is a siyum on a tractate of Mishnah, and that tractate is called Eduyot. And this is not something I had learned before this week. And so why Mishnah Eduyot? Very good question. It's a kind of a long story, and we're going to get a little bit into it more on Shabbat. But I'll talk about it a little bit. Okay, so last Shabbat I was talking about the Haggadah and all the different parts to it, and I had several interesting conversations with people afterward about various parts of the Haggadah and their family traditions. But one person was saying, was talking about this whole idea of next year in Jerusalem. And like how wonderful it is that this idea of next year in Jerusalem isn't just a literal meaning; it's a metaphorical meaning. It's something that it's an idea of, and he was saying messianism, of redemption. So the concept of messianism and redemption, we're definitely going to get into more of that on Shabbat. But what he was saying in this conversation is like, it's like the other part in the Haggadah where it talks about the children and the parents reconciling. And so we were saying, well, where is that in the Haggadah? And I had reviewed the whole Haggadah in preparation for this teaching, so I'm like, I don't know. So we looked at, first it was like, is it by the next year in Jerusalem part in the end? No. And then I was like, well, maybe, messianism, redemption, it has something to do with Elijah. Maybe it's part about when we open the door for Elijah. No, it's not there. It's not anywhere in the Haggadah, actually. So it's like, okay, why are we thinking about this verse in connection with Pesach? So I was able to Google it eventually, and that verse, this concept of reconciling parents with children, is in the Haftarah for this coming Shabbat Hagadol. So we're going to talk about it more in a couple of days. And it's also mentioned at the end of this tractate of Mishnah that we're completing this morning called Eduyot. And I was like, this is great. Okay, we need something to learn for the siyum. Why don't we learn that? Okay, so now we're going to get going. Okay. The other thing about Mishnah Eduyot that I holds a special place in my heart. If you go on safaria.org, which is really today's like massive library of everything, all Jewish texts, which is an amazing gift to our generation, it describes Tractate Eduyot as the only tractate without a unified subject, organized as collections on laws of various topics. And I was like, well, that's a dubious yet honorable distinction. It's not like Mishnah is the most organized text of all time. It is pretty organized by rabbinic standards when you compare it to Talmud or Midrash, but I digress. And so there are 8 chapters in Mishnah Eduyot, and so reading it, it's kind of, especially with an introduction like that, I had to ask myself, what's the common theme? Is there a common thread among all these chapters? And this is what stuck out to me: disagreements. It starts out with a disagreement. Chapter 1, Mishnah 1, starts out with a disagreement between Hillel and Shammai. And these are 2 very well-known Mishnaic teachers, and their schools, the school of Hillel and the school of Shammai, Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai, were truly famous for their disagreements. That's what they did. That's how we know them today. And actually, I was remembering this. I once met someone who was, like an engaged young Jewish person, and she wanted to be rebellious against her college Hillel. And so what she did was she started a group with her friends, and they called it Beit Shammai, to be the opposite of Hillel. And that I was like, wow, that's there you go. That's like so Jewish, I can't even. Okay, but so by the time we're into the 3rd Mishnah of this first chapter, we have not only Hillel disagreeing with Shammai, we have Hillel disagreeing with Shammai, and then everyone else disagrees with both of them. So we're getting more into the 2 Jews, 3 opinions, which we always love. Okay, and so at this point, I'm reading this over and I'm asking myself, what's the point of disagreement? So that may be, okay, what's the point of disagreement? That's a long answer question. I know at least some of us have to either go to work or keep cleaning chametz out of our homes. So let's refine that question a little bit for our purposes here this morning, from what's the point of disagreement, a big answer question, to what's the point of recording all these disagreements. Now, of course, we have more than one answer to that question as well. So I will bring us to chapter 1 of Mishnah Eduyot, Mishnayot 5 and 6. And it reads, "And why do they record the opinion of a single person among the many, when the halakha, the law, must be according to the opinion of the many? So that, if a court prefers the opinion of the single person, it may depend on him. For no court may set aside the decision of another court unless it is greater than it in wisdom and in number. If it was greater than it in wisdom but not in number but not in wisdom, it may not set aside its decision until it is greater than it in wisdom and in number." So I don't really know how that makes the single opinion recorded actionable, but that's okay. But then we have another opinion. Here we go. Rabbi Judah said, "If so, why do they record the opinion of a single person among the many to set it aside?" I like this answer better. It's a little bit more logical. "So that if someone shall say, 'Thus have I received the tradition,' it may be said to him, 'According to the refuted opinion of that individual, did you hear it?' So if someone says, 'I have this wacky idea, and I heard it somewhere,' it's written down somewhere so that we can say, everyone knows that's a wacky idea and know you're wrong," which I think is funny. Okay, so how do we live with disagreement? How do we live with disagreement? I'm sure that none of us have ever asked ourselves or our friends or our families this question in the climate that we have today. How do we live with disagreement? We've never thought about this before. Okay, so some of us participated in a workshop. I think workshop is the best term for it, put on by this organization called Braver Angels. I think some of us were there. It was in New Morcall a little while ago. The whole point of the workshop is how to talk with people that we disagree with. I'd been a part of some similar workshops in the past by different organizations, and the big secret, don't tell anyone, it involves listening and finding common ground. Shocking, I know. Okay, so but this is my favorite part about the experience. I got some feedback afterwards after this event. It's about how to talk with people we disagree with, listen to them, find common ground. And so someone comes up to me and says, "Rabbi, now that we've learned these techniques, we need to use them to convince other people who disagree with us that they're wrong." And I was like, we're missing the point here. And so this is not what Hillel and Shammai did, actually. Hillel and Shammai did not try to convince each other that they were right. And so this is what they did instead. Okay, this is the wrong page. Beit Shammai permits the rival, so this is a little bit technical, but Beit Shammai permits the rival wives of a deceased brother to be married to the surviving brothers, but Beit Hillel forbids them. So this complicated law of marriage, two different opinions. If they have performed chalitza, Beit Shammai pronounced them unfit to marry into the priesthood, but Beit Hillel pronounced them fit. Again, another technical disagreement about complicated laws of marriage. If they have married their brother-in-law, Beit Shammai pronounced them fit to marry into the priesthood, but Beit Hillel pronounced them unfit. Similarly, and although these pronounce unfit and these pronounce fit, Beit Shammai did not refrain from marrying women for the daughters of Beit Hillel, nor did Beit Hillel refrain from marrying women from the daughters of Beit Shammai. So their disagreement didn't interfere with their ability to live with one another. And in the case of all matters of purity and impurity, in respect to which these pronounce pure and these pronounce impure, they did not refrain from preparing foods requiring a condition of purity each by the means of the vessels of the other. So even though they disagreed about the exact details of kashrut of their cooking utensils, they still ate in each other's homes. They had disagreements, but they were able to live together. They found a way to get along, they found a way to live together, they found common ground, and they didn't try to convince each other of the opposing viewpoint. Perhaps we might learn from them. Such a thing is possible for us today. What the heck? Maybe even it's desirable sometimes to be with people that we disagree with and not convince them that of a different opinion. So there's a lot of cool stuff in this tractate Mishnah Iduyot. And so I think that the unifying thread is disagreements and why they're important. And so just to review, there's more than one reason why disagreements are important. I kind of have my favorites that I share with you, but you can learn more, and we've definitely gone over different viewpoints today. Okay, so there are only two things standing between you and the completion of the siyum and your breakfast afterwards. The first one is to teach the end of the Masechet, the last Mishnah, and so here we go, and pay close attention to this whole parents and children thing, which is really at the very end. All right. So Mishnah Iduyot, chapter 8, Mishnah 7. Rabbi Joshua says, I have received a tradition from Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, who heard it from his teacher, and his teacher heard it from his teacher, as a halakha given to Moses from Sinai. So it's official that Eliyahu HaNavi, Elijah the prophet, will not come to pronounce pure or impure, to put away or to bring near, but to put away those brought near by force, and to bring near those put away by force. So to make things more gentle. The family of Beth Tripah was on the other side of the Jordan, and Ben Sion put it away by force. Another family was there, and Ben Sion brought it near by force. It is such as these that Elijah will come to pronounce clean or to pronounce clean, to put away or to bring near. Rabbi Judah says to bring near, but not to put away. So Rabbi Judah comes along and says, we're going to make it even more gentle than we thought, that Elijah's power will be even more gentle. And the sages say, this is the punchline at the end, neither to put away nor to bring near, but to make peace in the world. To make peace in the world. For it is said, behold, I send to you Elijah the prophet, and Elijah shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of children to their fathers. As if this is the thing, the epitome of what it means to make peace in the world. Okay. So perhaps this is the ultimate resolution of disagreement. You know, parents agreeing with children. The signal that the world will be healed and a messianic era will emerge. You know, some people are like, wow, messianic era. Some people are like, where are the bagels? Let's move on. Okay, so here's the last thing that's standing between you and bagels, is the last thing, the Siyum HaSefer. Even if you've been to Siyum, you might not have heard this before, but we're going to say this, and we were not going to say it in Aramaic, but we are going to say it in English, so we can all stand up. And I'm going to have to repeat the first paragraph 3 times, and this text is a little bit unexpected, so brace yourselves. Oh, and actually, I wanted to mention, if you'd like to follow along on what I'm reading, if you take your phone out and you Google Siyum HaSefer, you can find this text. Okay. We will return to you, Masechet Iduyot, and you will return to us. Our thoughts are about you, Masechet Iduyot, and your thoughts are about us. We will not forget you, Masechet Iduyot, and you will not forget us, not in this world and not in the world to come. We will return to you, Masechet Iduyot, and you will return to us. Our thoughts are about you, Masechet Iduyot, and your thoughts are about us. We will not forget you, Masechet Iduyot, and you will not forget us, not in this world and not in the world to come. We will return to you, Masechet Iduyot, and you will return to us. Our thoughts are about you, Masechet Eduyot, and your thoughts are about us. We will not forget you, Masechet Eduyot, and you will not forget us, not in this world and not in the world to come. May it be your will, God, and God of our ancestors, that your Torah be our occupation in this world and will remain with us in the world to come. This is my favorite part. Hanina bar Papa, Rami bar Papa, Nachman bar Papa, Achdai bar Papa, Abamari bar Papa, Rafram bar Papa, Rachish bar Papa, Surchav bar Papa, Ada bar Papa, Daru bar Papa. May the words of Torah, Lord our God, be sweet in our mouths and in the mouths of all your people, so that we, our children, and all the children of the house of Israel may come to love you and want to study your Torah on its own merit. Through your commandments I am wiser than my enemies, for they are ever with me. May my heart be filled with your laws in order that I not despair. May I never forget your laws, for by them I am kept alive. Blessed are you, God, who teaches me your laws. Amen, 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 Selah, forever. We are thankful before you, God, and God of our ancestors, that you have made our portion from among those who sit in the house of study, and you have not made our portion from among those who sit idle. For we wake early, and they wake early. We wake early for words of Torah, and they wake early for idle words. We strive, and they strive. We strive and receive reward, and they strive and do not receive reward. We race, and they race. We race towards Olam Haba, towards the world to come, and they race towards destruction, as it says, and you, God, will bring them down to destruction. Men of blood and deceit will not live out half their lives, and I will trust you. May it be your will, God, my God, that as you have helped me finish Masechet Eduyot, thus you will help me begin other Masechtot and books and finish them, to learn and to teach, to protect and fulfill all the words of your Torah with love. May the merit of all the Tanaim and Amoraim and scholars stand with us and for our descendants, so that the Torah does not leave our mouths and the mouths of our descendants forever. And may it be fulfilled through us. When you walk, it will guide you. When you lie down, it will protect you. And when you wake, it will converse with you. For in Torah your days will increase and years of life will be added for you. Length of days is in her right hand, and in her left, wealth and honor. God will give strength. God will bless God's nation with peace. Now, amen, amen. And now for the grand finale, I swear this is the last thing. Kaddish de Itchadta. This is a special Kaddish. It's like a bigger, badder Kaddish de Rabbanan. So if you want to turn in your Sidur to page 20, you'll get most of it. And if you want to Google Siyum HaSefer on your phone, you can get the whole thing. Here we go. Yitzgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma dehu atid li'chadta ulachai metaya ula'asaka lachai alma ulamibnei karta d'Yerushalem ulashachlel chekla begava ulamekar pulchana nuchra'a me'ara v'lata'ava pulchana dishmaya la'atre v'yamlich kucha brichu malchute v'karei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mivarach Leolam Ulamei Almaya. Yit Barach V'yish Tabach V'yit Pa'ar V'yit Romam V'yit Naseh V'yit Hadar V'yit Ale V'yit Halal Shemei D'Kudsha Brichu La'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechamata Da'amiran Be'alma V'imru Amen. Al Yisrael Ve'al Rabbanan Ve'al Talmidehon Ve'el kol talmidehon, ve'el kol man de'oskin ba'oraita, di ve'atra hadain v'di v'chol atar v'atar, yehei lahon ulachon shlama rabba, china v'chista v'rachamin, v'chayin arichin umuzona revicha, ufurkana min kodam avohon di vishmaya ve'ara v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, V'chaim tovim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Shkoach, shkoach, shkoach. Thanks everyone for being here. This was super fun. If you want to keep learning and you're free at 9, I'll see you in the library. We're going to study the Torah portion of the week, which will be a little bit less obscure than this, but you can't always reach maximum obscure.